start with Brandon Corlett. Brandon, please state your question to Dr. Hanes.
All right. Good morning, Dr. Hanes. The team that was selected to South Africa, knowing from Abana, just give us the reason why he was not selected.
All right, Brandon. Before I start to answer the question regarding Nikita Bonner, I just want to thank all of my followers and friends, for all my birthday greetings yesterday. I'm also happy to know that we have now got a situation where Roland Butcher is the co-selector. So we've now got our team in place. So I'm happy to welcome Roland with me. I would like to congratulate the team first, though, because I find that when we are playing Test cricket in particular, away Test matches is not easy to win. It doesn't matter who you're playing against. And first, I would like to, on behalf of Gordon and myself, to congratulate young Chandapal, Shiv's son, and also Craig, for breaking the opening partnership of 336 runs they've made against Zimbabwe. I think it's a fantastic effort. Craig continued to lead from the front, and it's good to see the young man, Chandapal, getting a double hundred in only a couple of Test matches. I think he set the benchmark, for bigger things, and I just hope that he will continue in this vein. Also, somebody like Rifa, who's got two back-to-back 50s, which I think was also a good effort. And Rifa played because obviously we tried Rifa against Bangladesh here in the Caribbean, and we bat him at 3. He didn't get opportunity in Australia, and it was good to see him getting the 250s against Zimbabwe. Also the bowlers, Moti has shown that he's really he bowled very well, and he's really worked on his game, and he looked very good as a left arm spinner, and it's good to see him taking some wickets. And also with Jason and as you know, Azari is still our fastest bowler, and he continued to create a lot of problems for a lot of batsmen in Test cricket around the world. It's a bit unfortunate that we have a lot of our fast bowlers who are on the injury list. So that is really, we hope that they can get well soon, so that we can start looking at, making sure that we have a very competitive pace attack, going forward. So the case with Bonner, obviously Bonner struggled a little bit in the last couple of test matches that he's played, and we believe that we would like to see Bonner come back and play some more first-class games here in the Caribbean, and then get ready for India, who's coming in June. So it is not a situation that people you don't. When someone is left out of the side, the first impression that comes to one's mind is that you're done with somebody. But I had a conversation, not only myself but also Roland. We had a conversation with Bonner, and we explained to him the reason why he's not selected to go to South Africa.
All right, thanks for that. And Darren Bravo, he has actually been among the runs in the Super 50 last year and now in this first-class season. But age is really not on his side, so to speak. But what's the plans for Darren Bravo as it relates to West Indies?
Well, I was in Antigua, and obviously I called Bravo to congratulate him. The 200s that he scored. I think we in the Caribbean, we don't have the luxury to really talk about, age is not on someone's side. If someone is doing very well in our competition, I think his name must come up for selection. I think Bravo has proven that he can play cricket at the highest level, and it's just a matter of if we can get the guys, if they're committed and they really want to play. But Bravo is a class act. I mean, he has done well at Test level. He had a period where he just lost his form and so forth, but we know that Bravo is good enough to make runs at this level, and we will continue to monitor Bravo's progress, as he go along in this 4-day competition.
All right, one more if I may, Mr. Spooner. Godekesh Moti, he actually broke the record for the most wickets by a West Indies Test spinner in a match. A word on Godekesh Moti, and is there any plan to work with Moti and to see Moti bowling in all conditions and not spin-friendly conditions only?
Well, I'm not too sure. When Moti played his first test match here in the Caribbean, I'm not too sure if that was spin friendly. But it's good to see that, he went to Zimbabwe and he bowled very well. I spoke to a lot of the players, who said that they were very impressed with the way how he bowled. And they believe that he's the real deal. And he bowled very well in the last test match there. And everybody's very happy with him. I think that in the situation with Moti in the Caribbean is the fact that he's playing in a side with Pramod, and Pramod, obviously the number one spinner for Guyana. He tend to be on the ball, I find. Watching him from last year, I thought that Moti could have been bowling a lot more because I think he brought something different. He has a lot of variety, and that was something that really impressed me. And I believe that Moti obviously featured in not only the test match, but in all formats of our cricket. And we will hope that he will continue to improve and get better. And then, obviously, he's bringing another side to the story. He's a damn good fielder. And he's all right with a bat as well,
All right, thanks, Fleet.
Thanks very much. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, Gavin Richards.
Good morning, Dr. Hanes. Just a word on Alec Athanas, who's set to make his debut for the West Indies. Well, if he's selected into the final, played 11, but he's been called up to the squad. A word on him as to what really impressed you guys about him.
Well, thanks very much for the question, Gavin. I think that when you look at what's been happening in the last couple of years, this young man was on our radar for quite some time. I remember having a discussion with Sarwan at the time when he was my co-selector. And Sarwan had the opportunity to observe the games in Trinidad while, I was doing the ones here in Barbados. And, we really like the way how this young man has really, adapt himself to the bigger game, the longer version of the game. We think he has a lot of ability, and we've given him a try in the President's 11 game. We were looking at him in the A team as well. So he has done very well for us in not for the Windward Islands in the 50 over competition only last year. In November. So, he's a guy who's in form at the moment. He just got 100, and we believe that this is the right time to give him an opportunity, to see what he can do at the highest level. But we personally think that he has a lot of talent, and we believe that he can go a long way. I mean, we had to take those chances as well with Tej Chandapur when we first saw him, and we as selectors, we don't always get it right, but we tend to trust our cricket judgment. And whatever we do, we always do it for the best interest of West Indies cricket.
Dr. Hanes, part of I wouldn't say the problem, but something that we've observed that, a number of players will get an opportunity either be called up, they'll probably not feature in the test matches or in the games that they've been called up for. And then another squad will be announced and then they will be dropped. For example, we saw it with Kavem Hodge when he was selected to go to Bangladesh a few years ago. How do you sort of, I'm not sure what to say, but how do you sort of address those sort of situations?
Gavin, I think that it's not really nice to judge me from 3 or 4 years back as a selector, because I only started this post in January last year. So making that, we give people the opportunity to play, and sometimes that even though guys are performing, everybody don't get the opportunity to feature in the final 11. But it is for a situation where it all depends on who you're playing against. You look at the present form, you look at the opposition, you look at the conditions in which you're playing on, and then we selected the best team possible that can do the job for us.
Thank you, Dr. Hanes.
No problem, Gavin.
Question from Jerome Austin.
Morning, Dr. Hanes, and morning to everybody else, and morning Sir Butcher as well, the other selector. Dr. Hanes, in terms of the selection of Hakeem Jordan, how is it that he superseded Marquino Minley, who was drafted in for the Australia series?
Well, yeah, thanks for the question, Jerome. I think that in the situation when we were looking at the team, there was a lot of our fast bowlers, as I said before, that were injured and so forth. And it was a discussion where we were talking about, in our discussion, we were talking about getting somebody with excess pace. And then we realized that, we don't really have that in the Caribbean at the moment, even though there were one or two players that we looked at that we figured that, would be able to, that can bowl with some good pace. But I think when we then decided that what we do, we look at the way how Jordan has bowled, not only in the 4-day competition, but also in the 50-over competition last year. And even with the white ball, which doesn't swing a lot, he really impressed us with his movement with the new ball. And we thought, well, look, we don't have the luxury of having, somebody who with the express pace. So we will go with somebody who we think that will be able to threaten the edge. And I think Jordan, with his form at the moment, he looked to be the one that we believe that would be able to do the job for us. So that's why he was in front of Minley.
That is one. Secondly, I want to go to a little bit with the report that came out recently in terms of recommendations for the selectors that you might want to include a couple of the white ball players, etc., into the test team. How far off was Brandon King from being selected? He was recommended by the independent panel.
Yeah, Joe. I had a long conversation with Brandon, and what we were discussing is the fact that we understand that, that sometimes it's good to have conversation with players to find out first what their interests. But as you know, Brandon did indicate that when he started, his love is for Test cricket, and the longer version of the game. But then he went on to do very well in the T20 and the shorter version and so forth, and that was it. So, I was saying to him that, we as selectors, both Roland and myself, we believe that he can be a part of our batting lineup for the test matches and so forth, and we want to know what was his interest. And he did indicate, yes, he would love to be involved with Test cricket, and he would love to, be there. And I said, look, the problem with we as selectors is the fact that we've got a lot of players that we would like to include in the Test setup, and we would like to see them playing some 4-day cricket for the franchises. And he was one of them. And then